Hare
Hare
Ram.
Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
So today we will be starting with verse number 7. Tan Tatna Pradhotaya Adhyatam Jnanam Tatvartha Darshanam Yena Yena Angyasa
Kenan Yasa Tarishyamo
Tarishyamo Dustaram Bhavasagaram. Translation by Prabhupada Ji. Prabhupada Ji ki jai. Dear Master, kindly enlighten us in transcendental knowledge, which may act as a torchlight by which we can cross the dark nescence of material existence. The Prachetas requested Narada. Purport: the Prachetas requested Narada to enlighten them in the transcendental knowledge. Generally, when a common man meets a saintly person, he wishes to get some material benediction. However, the Prachetas were not interested in material benefit, for they had enjoyed all this sufficiently. Nor did they want the fulfillment of their material desires. They were simply interested in crossing the ocean of nescence. Everyone should be interested in getting out of these material clutches. Everyone should approach a saintly person in order to be enlightened in this connection. One should not bother a saintly person to get blessings for material enjoyment. Generally, householders receive saintly persons to give their blessings. But their real aim is to become happy in the material world. Asking for such benedictions is not recommended in Shastras. So this verse is pretty clear, pretty simple, and giving us decent instructions, especially considering us as grihastas, that for a common man, they would we have seen a lot in India, we would invite a lot of devotees or a lot of panditas sometime at home, not even devotees, and just ask, or sadhus, and just ask for material benedictions, which Shastras do not allow that. And the reason why is the goal of life is not material benediction or material enjoyment. The goal of life is to realize that everything belongs to Krishna and should be used in his service. Here we have seen from verse 1 and 2, we read that Prachetas acquired perfection of the knowledge in the form of realizations, and they realized that Supreme Personality of Godhead is supreme. Hence, their knowledge expanded so that they can see everyone at the equal level. There was no material hankering or distress. Brahmabhut Prasannatma, that's where they were. Hence, we can see Prachetas, when they met Narada, they didn't ask for anything material. They have gone past this with the mercy of Krishna, and now they are looking for benediction so that Naradji can help them get to the stage, get to the devotional service. And that's the instructions that are being given here. We have seen that from the example of Prabhupada, where Prabhupada was saying that his father would invite a lot of saintly persons at home, and the blessings in turn was, please bless my son so he becomes Krishna's devotee. So we can see, and even Prabhupada has wrote so many times in Krishna book, that we can approach a saintly person, we can approach a demigod, as long as the benediction that we want from them is service of Krishna or going back home to Godhead, then there is no problem approaching them. But if we are approaching them for our own benediction, that's not approved in Shastra. Even Keshavanand Prabhuji in one of his lecture was saying, people sometimes invite him and say, okay, please bless our house. We have a new house, please bless the house. Or bless us with more enjoyment, more success. Then that's a very dangerous road, because if a sadhu bless them, it's like blessing in the material enjoyment, which will eventually deceive a person, in the sense which will eventually lead us to hellish life condition. So that is not recommended in the Shastras. That's it. Prabhuji, please, and Mataji, please go ahead and explain, Ji. Anything further to add?
Hare Krishna. So the Prachetas had directly, with their prayers of Lord Shiva, directly seen the Lord. And then, with thousands of years of material life, they had forgotten that instructions they received and they had become jaded. And then again, they were trying through yogic practice to get back to the original instructions given on their own, which is when now Narada has come. So some people like Prachetas were so advanced in their devotional service, have received prayers from Lord Shiva, have directly seen the Lord with their material eyes. Of course, it is spiritual eyes when they see the Lord, but in the material world, if they can fall to such levels, then what to talk of us, where we are always surrounded by material things and spend few hours a day in trying to do something devotional. So we have to keep contemplating with each story of the Bhagavatam that how we compare with respect to, or how insignificant our practices and how much more we have to do, and by which means we increase and improve our practice. Hare Krishna. Would anybody else like to add to that, please? Shall we read the next verse?
Ji, Prabhuji.
431.8. Maitreya Vacha Iti
Maitreya Vacha.
Prachetasam Prishto
Iti prachetas prishto
Bhagavan Narado Munihi
Bhagwan Narado Muni
Bhagavati Uttama Sloka
Bhagavati Uttam Shloka
Avishatma Pravin Nirpan.
Avish Atma Bravan Nirpam.
Translation and purport is Divine Grace for Prabhupada. Translation. The great sage Maitreya continued. My dear Vidura, thus being petitioned by the Prachetas, the supreme devotee Narada, who was always absorbed in thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, began to reply. Purport. In this verse, Bhagavan Narada indicates that Narada is always absorbed in thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavati Uttama Shloka Avishtatma. Avishtatma. Narada has no other business than thinking of Krishna, talking of Krishna, and preaching about Krishna. Therefore, he is sometimes called Bhagavan. Bhagavan means one who possesses all opulences. When a person possesses Bhagavan within his heart, he is also sometimes called Bhagavan. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura said, Sakshat Daritvena Samasta Shastraihi. In every Shastra, the spiritual master is accepted directly as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This does not mean that the spiritual master or a saintly person like Narada has actually become the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he is accepted in this way because he possesses the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart constantly. As described here, Avishtatma, when one is simply absorbed in the thought of Krishna, one is also called Bhagavan. Bhagavan possesses all opulences. If one possesses Bhagavan within his heart, always, does he not automatically possess all opulence also? In that sense, a great devotee like Narada can be called Bhagavan. However, we cannot tolerate when a rascal or impostor is called Bhagavan. One must possess either all opulences or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, who possesses all opulences. Hare Krishna. So, continuing from last verse, I think the Prachetas had, by the prayers of Lord Shiva, had Bhagavan in their heart, and they did possess all opulences to see the Supreme Personality of the Godhead directly. But with material life, that slowly degraded and degraded till they had almost forgotten the instructions originally given to them by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by Lord Shiva, by Narada. So here, Prabhupada is, in his purport, refers to Narada as Bhagavan. Bhagavan meaning 24 hours. Narada Muni does only talking of the Lord, singing praises of the Lord, and preaching the glories of the Lord. So, this is something that is the final aim, or what all of us should aspire for. And we start with 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, then slowly increase it to finally, are we able to spend all 24 hours in service of the Lord, thinking about the Lord and preaching about the Lord, which is the ultimate goal. And to be in that state would be, yeah, I mean, at least we should aspire for that. Hare Krishna. Would somebody else like to add to that, please?
No, Prabhuji, we can continue. You explained it very well. Does anybody, it's for your throat, does anybody would like to read? Would anyone like to continue reading, Ji? Or Prabhuji, maybe may I read then?
Please go on, Nathan.
Text 9. Thank you, Ji. Narad Vacha Taj Janma Tani Karmani Tad Ayus Tan Mano Vacha Naranam Yena Hi Vishvatma Sevayate Harir Ishvara. Translation by Prabhupada Ji ki jai. The great sage Narada said, when a living entity is born to engage in devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Controller, his birth, all his fructive activities, his lifespan, his minds, his words, all are factually perfect. Purport. In this verse, the word Naranam is very important. There are many other births beside human birth, but Narad Muni is here and especially speaking of human birth. Among human beings, there are different types of men. Of those who are advanced in spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness are called Aryans. Among Aryans, one who engage in the devotion service of Lord is most successful in life. The word Naranam indicates that the lower animals are not expected to engage in the devotional service of Lord. But in perfect human society, everyone should engage in the devotional service of the Lord. It does not matter whether one is born poor or rich, black or white. There may be so many material distinctions for one who takes birth in human society, but everyone should engage in Lord's devotional service. At the present moment, At the present moment, civilized nations have given up God consciousness for economic development. They are actually no longer interested in advancing in God consciousness. Formerly, their forefathers were engaged in executing religious principles. Whether one is Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, Jewish, or whatever, everyone has some religious institution. Real religion, however, means becoming God conscious. It is particularly mentioned here in that birth is successful if an interest in Krishna consciousness is taken. Activity is successful if it results in serving the Lord. Philosophical speculation or mental speculation is successful when engaged in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The senses are worth possessing when engaged in the service of the Lord. Actually, devotional service means engaging the senses in the service of the Lord. At the present moment, our senses are not purified. Therefore, our senses are engaged in the service of the society, friendship, love, politics, sociology, or so on. However, when the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, one attains bhakti or devotional service. In the next verse, these matters will be more clearly explained. So here, Naradji began their instructions with the two prachetas and very beautifully explained by Prabhupada,
Yes.
Aryan and...
One more
Hare Krishna.
paragraph, Mataji.
Oh, sorry, Prabhuji. 1 second. Ji.
When one great
Oh,
devotee
sorry.
of Lord.
Ji, sorry. Sorry, I missed that. Ji. Thank you. When a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the Lord, he said all his desires were fulfilled. He said, today everything is auspicious. Today my birthplace, neighborhood are completely glorified. Today my senses from my eyes down to my toes are fortunate. Today my life is successful because I have been able to see the lotus feet that are worshipped by the goddess of fortune. So this verse, Naraji is giving instructions there, and it reminds me of one of the instructions that Prabhupada ji gave, that understanding of Vedas means understanding of Krishna. So one who knows Krishna, one who serves Krishna has perfect understanding. And the goal is Hari, I forgot the exact Sanskrit of it, Hari Toshanam, that the goal of life is the satisfaction of Krishna. So if our senses, our words, our mind, our activities, whatever business we are doing or whatever we are doing, if we can satisfy Krishna, that's it, we attain the goal. Here Narad Muni is saying the human beings are of different types, and we have read that in Bhagavad Gita as well, that and those who are Aryans. In the previous verses, I think in chapter 30th, Prabhupada ji is explaining Aryan as an advanced devotee, as advanced. So one who is advanced, not in material senses, but advanced in understanding of Krishna consciousness, and who is engaging in devotional service. Prabhupada is saying he's most successful in life. Not successful materially, but successful in life in the sense he has realized the actual goal of life and he is moving towards it. And here Prabhupada is bringing a very, very nice explanation of Naranam. Lower animals are not expected to engage in the devotional service. Like there are human beings who are living, we have seen in Kali Yuga, human beings who are living like animals. Prabhupada in Bhagavad Gita says there is no difference in animal and in human being today, because they are doing eating, mating, sleeping, and depending, and so are we. So perfect human society, Prabhupada is saying everyone should be engaged in Krishna consciousness. And in Bhagavad Gita, we have heard Prabhupada saying, if some part of human society can develop Krishna consciousness, there are chances of peace. But otherwise, if no one gets to Krishna, or if the Krishna consciousness doesn't develop, then there are no chances of peace in this world. And we are going in the wrong direction, where everybody in the next life will end up as in Pashu Juni. Here Prabhupada is also mentioning that there is no difference in caste and creed. Anyone and everyone should take to Lord's devotional service. We have seen Chaitanya Mahaprabhu coming as a devotee and teaching us, exemplifying us by his own example, that there was no difference. Haridas Thakur, who himself was so humble that he didn't want to enter into a temple thinking that I'm the lowest of man class Muslim. He did not want to enter the temple. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made him Nam Guru, Nam Acharya. So we can see it does not matter white, black, or whatever. It doesn't matter which caste, creed we belong to. Doesn't matter which religion we are with. What matters, our real religion, is understanding God, understanding Krishna. And I think here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prabhupada is very nicely summarizing that one great devotee said that all my desires are fulfilled. And we have seen that today everything is auspicious by realizing God, by achieving the perfection of Krishna consciousness. And we have seen that in Bhagavatam in so many examples of like Dhruv Maharaj, who initially wanted to achieve God for his material desires. And once he saw God, he himself said I attained everything. I was looking for pebbles and I ended up with so many diamonds. And there are so many other examples that we are reading in Bhagavatam that exemplifies this. So once life, the only and only way to become successful in life is not material advancement, is actually getting in association with a devotee, chanting and using all the senses. Here Prabhupada is saying using every single sense in the service of the Lord is the way to go. And we have seen that through the prayers that Shivji is teaching Prachetas, where he's saying, my position is all auspicious because Krishna, who's all auspicious, is merciful on me, and he's putting all my senses towards his service. So we can clearly see that if Shivji, who is Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambho, saying that, who are we? Like, we are not even a bacterial per se in front of Shivji. So if he's saying that, he's teaching by this example that we need to put all our senses towards Krishna's service. Please go ahead and comment. Anybody, please. You. Prabhuji, you joined too.
Hare Krishna, yes, Mataji.
No, I was saying Malay Prabhuji joined too. I just saw him. I don't know if.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, you are there too.
Hare
Please
Krishna.
go ahead, Ji.
Yeah, so in this regard, actually, this example that Prabhupada is giving here is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, the meeting of Lord Chaitanya with Kurma Brahmana. So in his trip to South India, Mahaprabhu stays for some time with the Kurma Brahmana. So there, Kurma Brahmana is very pleased to be with Lord Chaitanya. And he says, Mora bhagera sima na yaya kahan, aji mora shlag haila janma kuladhan. My dear Lord, there is no limit to my great fortune. It cannot be described. Today, my family, birth and riches have all been glorified. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so in this way, Kurma Brahmana feels very much overjoyed to see Lord Chaitanya. Previously, actually, in this is actually coming in the 7th chapter. Later on in Madhya Leela, Mahaprabhu is giving this teaching. Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kahe Sudradha Nischay Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krit Hai. Shraddha is confident, firm. Shraddha means firm faith. By rendering devotional service, one automatically performs all subsidiary activities. So faith means having trust in something divine. So, and what is divine is that by rendering devotional service to Krishna, everything will be finished. So Krishna has already spoken in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharmana Parityajya Mama Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Abandon all varieties of religion, surrender unto me. Aham Tvama Sarva Papebhyo Moksheshyami Mashucha. So actually all our sufferings in this life are born out of Papa. Actually, if you see, even the very body that we have is just a result of sinful activity. The desire to enjoy the body of a male or a female is sinful. And in the age of Kali, I mean, we see here that great personalities like Kardam or the Prachetas or the great Mahajanas, even they are embarrassed by the fact that they desire to have a family. So here Prachetas are also feeling embarrassment that they have wasted their time in materialistic activities. So what to speak of now, Kali Yuga, where people exclusively think this to be the objective of life. You see the difference. Kardam Muni was embarrassed that he was seeing the Lord and he was desiring to have a family. Prachetas, they are also feeling the same sorrow that they saw they had the audience of the Lord, but they ended up just desiring family association. So naturally, because their desire is sinful. And what is sin? Sin means anything which is not in connection with Krishna. Anything which is not in connection with Krishna. So naturally, when our very body is born out of that sinful reaction, so all the so-called enjoyment and the real suffering that we are obtaining here in this life are just reactions to that sin. That's why Krishna is saying, Aham Tvama Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishyami. I will deliver you from all your sinful reactions. Mahashucha. Do not lament, do not worry. That is Krishna's assurance to Arjuna. So here also, so Kurma Brahman is also celebrating the same thing. So Kurma Brahman is also saying the same thing, that today my life has become successful. Aji mora shlagya haila janma kuladhan. And he's saying mora bhagyera sima nayaya kahan. Today I cannot say, because today I have attained what great sages are always desiring. So you see, what is his great fortune? So he has prayed in the previous verse. Yehi pada padma tomara brahma dhyana kare. Sehi pada padma sakshat aila mora ghare. That these lotus feet are desired by Brahma. He is meditating on these. But by great fortune, these lotus feet have come into my house. So that is the mood of Kurma Brahman. Now, having said this is all fine. So one should feel happy when he meets a sadhu, certainly. So sadhus are representatives of Krishna because they are giving the message of Krishna. So they are representatives of Krishna. So one should feel happy. But what should happen after that? So here we see prachetas. What prachetas are going to do? Prachetas are going to renounce this world. So that means meeting of a sadhu should bring detachment in our heart. Kripa kara prabhu more ya tomara sange. Sahite na pari dukha vishaya tarange. The Brahmana begged Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, my dear Lord, kindly show me favor and let me go with you. I can no longer tolerate the waves of misery caused by materialistic life. So you see these beautiful verses here. In the previous verse, Kurma Brahman is actually celebrating his material position. My birth, my position, my wealth. He's celebrating all of that. But now he's also explaining that I can no longer tolerate the waves of misery caused by materialistic life, indicating that in reality, the so-called family, body, education, designation, wealth, they are just sources of misery. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, E dhana yavana putra parijana, ithe ki ache parati tire. Kamala dala jala jivan atalmal, bhajahu haripad niti re. So what is the reliance on dhana, yavan, my wealth, my youth, my sons, putra parijana, my children, my relatives. Human life itself is flickering. It's just like a drop of water on the leaf of a lotus. So one should always constantly meditate on the Supreme Lord. Bhajahu haripada niti re. So niti word, the root word of niti is nitya. So nitya, continuous. So niti, when we use the word niti or policy, it means something which has to be done continuously. So nitya. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is advising us to constantly chant the holy names. So therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he went to Kurma Brahman, he immediately developed this detachment from the materialistic life. And he prayed for the Lord for deliverance from this. So in the previous verse that we were talking about, that Prabhupada was explaining in the 7th verse, that one should only ask sadhu for spiritual benediction and not for material benediction. So this is the explanation, that as soon as one sees sadhu, one should immediately awaken to his spiritual consciousness. And that's also the litmus test of a sadhu. If a sincere person approaches a sadhu, then he should get purified. So Mahaprabhu instructed him to carry on with his duties and gradually develop Krishna consciousness. Better to remain at home and chant the holy names. Grahe rahi Krishna naam nirantar laiba. Don't say such things. Don't talk about renunciation now. You just stay at home and you chant continuously. And then you preach. Jare dekha tara kaha Krishna Upadesh. So the point here is that, we have to keep on purifying. Now, this is very interesting because Lord Chaitanya is giving an instruction which has been contradicted in the previous chapter of this Srimad Bhagavatam that we're reading. In the previous chapter, we saw that when the Prachetas emerged from the waters of the ocean, or from the waters of the lake, they saw the whole earth had been overrun by trees because Prachina Varishat had left this world before the sons could come back and take over the crown. Very interesting point. Prachina Varishat was very much addicted to materialistic activities, but then he didn't even finish his duties. So the explanation that was given there was that Prachina Varishat immediately, as soon as he awakened in Krishna consciousness, he left this world. So to the degree we are surrendered to Krishna, to that degree we'll be detached from this world. So to that degree, we will not be of this world. Meaning that as soon as one is perfected in Krishna consciousness, he leaves home. He will leave home, he should leave home. Because home is the center of Maya. That's where we feel we are comfortable. Actually, why are we at home? Because we feel comfortable. You go out to the market, it's raining, it's hot or something, you come home and immediately you feel relieved. Oh, now I'm home. There's a fan, there's some water, now I'm feeling relaxed. That is actually Maya. Because you're not safe anywhere. Outside maybe some bodily discomfort, inside maybe some bodily comfort. But in reality, there is no safety in either place. You know, for example, if you're walking in the sun and I come and give you a bottle of Fanta or some liquid and you drink it, you feel comfortable. But you're not home. So home is also just an expanded bodily comfort. It's not a place of safety. So therefore, as soon as one comes in contact with Krishna consciousness, one should be no longer interested in pursuing the materialistic activities. One should try to deliver himself from this life of Maya. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments?
Well, this does sound a little bit, say that there's a little bit of confusion. On one side, we say if and when all the activities are centered around Krishna, then the place where that pure devotee lives is Vaikuntha itself. And on the other side, we say once the person is advanced in Krishna consciousness, he should leave home. Well, if he's already a pure devotee or everything is centered around Krishna, why does he need to then? Is he not, wherever he lives is Vaikuntha already?
I didn't get your question.
So on one side, we say where a pure devotee lives or the activities that he does, they are all centered around Krishna and they are all satisfying Krishna. So wherever he lives, it's Vaikuntha itself. And on the second side, now we say when somebody is in the pure Krishna consciousness or when somebody is getting in touch with Krishna consciousness, he should leave home. So if he's already serving Krishna in every single thing that he does or say or do, then the place is already Vaikuntha, no? Then why does he need to leave it?
Why should he stay at home? If it's Vaikuntha at home, where is Krishna? Okay, let's analyze this, you know, instead of giving some witty answers, let's analyze this question. So when there is a pure devotee, where is Krishna?
In his heart or whatever he's doing.
Right. So, and where is not Krishna?
For a pure devotee, nowhere.
Exactly. So whether he stays at home or he doesn't stay at home makes no difference.
Yes.
Actually, if you want to, you know, let me give you one example. I mean, I don't know whether I should share this in a public place or something, but still, okay, we are devotees, so let me share this with you. You know, if you really want to experience this, you should go and spend some time in Mayapur or some very solitary place in Vrindavan. When you go there, you will realize, I'm not saying you will have complete realization, but you'll have a certain degree of realization that you are feeling at home. Especially at Mayapur, because that's the potency of Mayapur. In Mayapur, it doesn't matter whether you are in your room or you are on the street side. You will feel very comfortable. You might as well just take a bed sheet and just lie down on the banks of Ganga and fall asleep. You will feel the same comfort that you will derive in your own house. Because Mayapur is so surcharged with the vibrations of Krishna consciousness. There may be lots of nonsense going on in Mayapur also, but there are a lot of genuine sadhus also there. And Mahaprabhu's own mercy is also there. So you do get some kind of hint of what spiritual life is actually all about. Then, you know, it really feels like you don't find any difference between outside and inside.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. That helped. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in this regard only, we can also think like if the devotee remains at home, like how the Prachetas, they went into Grahastha life. So they apparently seem to have forgotten. So association, house is you are associating actually with the material energy, the center of it. So you're likely to, so before you forget or before you get out of that mood, it's better you leave home, no? So that.
Yeah, so that's the reason, because at home you are in contact with material energy. Graha kshetra sutapta vittayar. So that is happening. So at some point, so that's why Shastras advise one to leave home. Of course, in this age, it's very difficult, because till 70s and 80s, I have seen that in India, there was a lot of place for sadhus. You could go to holy places. There were lots of sadhus and you could associate with them. But now it's practically gone, vanished. Now people are so materialistic. Even in Vrindavan, you hear Bollywood music. Even in Mayapur, I was very shocked. Like till 10 years ago, you wouldn't hear Bollywood music in Mayapur, but now it's there. And it's sad to hear that even Gaudiya Math now plays Bollywood tunes, which was like solely a Bombay phenomena. Now, even in Mayapur, 10 years ago, you couldn't hear Bollywood tunes in Mayapur. But now Mayapur Kirtans are also slowly turning into Bollywood tunes. And now Gaudiya Math has also caught on to the trend. So it feels sad. But still, the vibrations are pure.
Actually, our temples are coming up, like quite a few temples are coming out with this concept of Vanaprastha ashram, means living for the devotees within the temple premises. Like Kharghar temple also has one such project where they are going to have a place where people can actually take Vanaprastha. How much do you think that will help? Because we are still living within the city and within.
Yeah, that's true. But Vanaprastha should not be doing the same duties as a Grahastha. Vanaprastha is not meant to, look after temple funds and donations and stuff. Vanaprastha means concentrating only on Krishna. Vanaprastha means death is approaching. So Vanaprastha means death is approaching. A brahmachari has some time, so he can engage in more physical activities. But Vanaprastha should be engaging more and more in Krishna consciousness. Vanaprastha is a step towards sannyas. So he should be trying to detach himself completely, engaging more in reading, chanting, and preaching, not collecting donations and running here and there, and generally just engaging in the same activities which he did as a non-devotee. So unless the spirit is there, all this would be a failure. So many times we have tried these farm communities and cow protection, but in the last 20 years that I have seen, it doesn't seem to work at all. We have these, show bottle projects going on here and there. There is some cow farm here, some cow farm there, but they are just like begging donations all the time. Oh, please protect the cow. Prabhupada did not want this. Prabhupada said, doesn't mean that you get some sick old cow and then you beg money. No, cow should generate its own funds. So cow protection, Vanaprastha, all these things are linked together. Varnashram dharma should be in entirety. It can't be a piecemeal show bottle effort. Okay, I'll just ask some man to retire and sign over his property to me and then, just live in my guest house. That is not Vanaprastha. Then I'll only get his sinful reactions. Vanaprastha means that one should engage fully in Krishna consciousness, prepare for sannyas strictly. Unless the spirit is correct, all these activities are just for the show. They won't have any effect. Farm communities, the Grahasthas are so passionate, they're not able to live in villages. So many times, so many sannyasis have tried in all good spirit to do this kind of activity, but Grahasthas are so passionate, they go Varnashram and they play politics and so many things happen and the farm collapses. There was one farm in South India, a very famous farm, and it eventually, the whole project folded up. I met one brahmachari from that project. So he's a very good friend of mine. And he was very sad that the whole project had to just fold up because Grahasthas wouldn't stop quarreling with each other. And even old retired men were like into corruption and so many things. So it should be in the spirit of the law, not just the letter.
One more thing. In this text 5, now they are mentioning about what is exactly the fear that the Prachetas are feeling when it is mentioned that when Narad Muni comes, they were feeling relieved, of this I didn't understand what exactly was the fear that they were experiencing.
Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. So we had discussed this, that they are fearing the Maya, the darkness of Maya, where one loses one's identity. In Maya, you don't know what's going on. Now, right now, you are convinced you are a surgeon, you are powerful, you are rich. No. When Maya strikes, Maya will just take away. Within a snap, she'll take away everything. Then you'll not know who you are. So that is Maya. Maya is not like some attraction to wealth or something. No. The forgetfulness of one's own self, that is Maya. That's the very basis of Maya. So the Prachetas, they are feeling sad that they wasted all their time after meeting the Lord. The Lord was pleased with them. Their spiritual master, Lord Shiva, was pleased with them. The Lord became pleased. And then they went back to Grihasthashram. So now they are feeling relieved that their practice of renunciation has been perfected. And now Narad Muni has blessed them with his appearance. So they are feeling relieved. So this is the fear. Because there's no guarantee that you may meditate, but Krishna may not reciprocate. Krishna is Swarat. So you took his shelter, but now you have forgotten him. So maybe Krishna may not come. He may, who's stopping him? That's his wish. So that's the fear that a devotee always has. And actually every devotee should have, that we are living in Maya. We are in a very dangerous situation.
But then did they have a choice of not entering Grahastha life?
Well, there is always a choice.
Because the father had left. There was nobody
Yes.
to look after the kingdom.
So what? Why did father leave?
The father finished his duties. I mean, almost finished his duties.
Well, what was the last instruction that Narad Muni gave to Prachina Varishat? My dear king, this Puranjan is you, foolishly thinking that you are doing your duties. Actually, you control nothing. In this world, you have no control over anything. So this was the instruction that Narad Muni gave, which opened the eyes of Prachina Varishat, and then he left. So his duties were just an illusion. That's what Narad Muni was explaining to him. His duty, the so-called duty that we are executing, that also is an illusion. And that is the illusion we are trying to overcome.
Okay, good. Understood. Thank you.
Hari. Yes, any other questions here? Okay, did we stop? So thank you very much, everyone. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hare Krishna.